Hi everyone, how are we doing? So, what I want to do is I want to backtrack a little bit and try to look at a little more detailed analysis of how the economy adjusts to an increase in the money supply, and mostly the focus is from the short run to the long run. So, here we've got a lot of curves here, but let's just focus on E. So we're in long run equilibrium right here, and there's an increase in the money supply. And we go to this aggregate demand curve shifts to AD prime, and we're now at E prime. And E prime is short run equilibrium. And the way we've constructed this model is there's natural tendencies for this model to move back to the long run. Just like in the Solow growth model, there was a natural tendency, the way the model is constructed, to move to the steady state. In a lot of ways, it's the exact same concept. So, we're now at E prime, and what we said then is that at E prime, workers are worse off because prices have increased faster than wages. And what we're going to see is in the long run, workers are going to attempt to renegotiate their wages. Now, in the real world, all workers cannot renegotiate their wages at the same time. It actually takes up to 3 years. So, maybe in the first year, a third of the workers will renegotiate. The second year, a third more, and so forth and so on. And again, the one-third is just an example. It's just a proportion of the workers can renegotiate their wages the first year, but it takes longer for most workers to get that done. So, if you can look at that, we increase the money supply, and output increases from, and actually I realize I lost my dotted line here. Let's put this back. So, in the initial impact, the aggregate demand curve shifts out with the AD prime, and output rises from YN to Y1. Okay? Now, that, in terms of our mathematical model, here is YC equals alpha YCT minus 1 plus ET, where ET represents the change in the money supply. So, this increase in the money supply is due to, in period T, the value of ET. So ET represents the movement from YN to Y1. Okay? So, in the first period after the money supply shock, in a sense this is period, I'm minimizing the subscripts, but really in a sense this is period T plus 1. And that's what we have here. Okay? Now, in the next period T plus, Sorry, I misspoke. This is period T. We have the increase in the money supply, and output rises by this value ET right here, and I've just written it as the money supply in period T increases by ET, which is, again, the distance, YN, Y1. So I misspoke for a second. Now, as people start to renegotiate their wages, okay, and let's say this shift in short run aggregate supply to SRAS prime represents a third of the economy that can renegotiate their wages in the next year. So, this curve shifts back to SRAS prime, and now output only is Y2. So, we had the full bump in the first period, but now it starts to disappear. So, if you can look at that ET shock in period T plus 1 is now ET but multiplied by alpha. Okay? So, as you go further, this value of ET starts to dissipate. And so it's multiplied by now alpha times ET, and alpha times ET then is this distance, YN to YN2, or to YN to Y2, sorry. So, what we can see is that in the first period, this has its full impact. But then ET next period is multiplied by alpha. So we can look at it going backwards in time, that in YCT is a function of ET plus what ET was last period, ET minus 1, but that's multiplied by an alpha, its impact is diminished. Well, as we go forward, ET in period T plus 1 is diminished by alpha. So, what we see is that this series describes how quickly the short run aggregate supply schedule shifts upward and inward. Okay? So, if alpha is a large number, close to 1, say 0.9, it takes a long time to get back to long run equilibrium. If alpha is a small value, that's going to be, comes back quickly. So we're going to talk about this on Tuesday. I'm going to give you a little problem set that you'll do on Thursday to look at different values of alpha and how quickly the process gets back. So let me pick this up. See you in a little bit.